From Singapore Community Radio, this is the Potluck Club, a show exploring stories of local creators, entrepreneurs, and the ideas they are cooking. Let's go. Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Huiz, producer at SGCR. So, welcome to the first episode of our new show where we speak to various people who have started their own creative ventures. So, I think we wanted to do this because honestly, we feel like there's a lot of things happening in Singapore. People doing crazy cool things or just like striking out on their own to build something purposeful and different. But sometimes we get lost along the way because, we're too narrowed in by our own interests, whether it's arts, music, literature, for example. So, I think we wanted to do this show to really bring forward as diverse a plethora as possible of local creatives to shed light on what they've been doing and what has been happening around us. So this week we'll be chatting with the folks from Tell Your Children, a creative studio focusing on illustration and design. So they're probably a familiar name to both, with quite an impressive portfolio of work with both local and international clients from Uniqlo, Tiger Beer, Art Science Museum, New Balance, and Suiwa. So it's really quite a range of things that they do. I think many people probably know them from their mural work, but they also have quite an amazing repertoire of illustration, graphic design, branding, and animation work. So they've also expanded into a lot of side projects, such as Peak, their streetwear label, correct me if I'm wrong, By Appointment Only, which is a new retail experiment, and a podcast, Cosmic Children. So TYC started in 2014 with 4 friends from Temasek Poly, but they have since grown with 3 new additions to the team. So today with me is Dion, one of our co-founders, and 2 latest babies in the team, Denise and JL, who are very nervous about this podcast. So hi guys, how's it going?
Hi, we're good.
Hello.
Hello.
GL, you can uncross your arms, you look so tense.
Oh no, the aircon's really cold.
Oh, do you want to turn on the aircon?
It's okay.
Okay. Do you guys want to introduce yourself a little bit, what you do at TYC?
Hi, okay, my name is Dion. I started TYC with 3 friends back in 2014. So the idea was basically to kind of like start a collective or a studio that works together instead of working against each other, because back then when we were coming out of poly, it was really competitive in the illustration community. So we wanted to create a studio where friends could work together and do bigger projects. So that's how I got my ex-classmates, Russell, Lydia, and Kevin, in at the end of 2013, and we kind of like launched the studio officially in 2014. So this is what I do full-time since 2014, and on the side I also do quite a few side projects like Death Threads and Stacking Stones, which is we can talk about more on another podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically me.
So who wants to go next?
Hi, I'm Denise. I'm one of the creatives on TYC. I mostly manage most of the animation projects, and I am an illustrator.
Where do you come from?
I graduated from Arts Design Media, NTU, and before that I was from School of the Arts Singapore.
Jill?
Okay, I'm JL and I'm the youngest. That's my personality, being the youngest. And then
I don't think it's a personality, but I
that's a
guess
personality trait. I came from Temasek Poly, same as Dion and friends and my other bosses. And then I'm an illustrator, and I also handle the animation work with Denise in TYC.
Right. So has visual arts always been something you guys knew you wanted to do from the start? Or do you guys explore different paths before starting TYC or before joining TYC, for example?
I think for me it was definitely something that I knew from the start. So back then when I was in primary school, even secondary school, I was always drawing. So I always had my eyes set on joining Temasek Poly visual communications, because I heard that was the best visual arts course. So I kind of like planned my whole O-level subjects to fit that course. I also took art in secondary school, so my dream was actually to be a tattoo artist.
Oh, I did not know that.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a secondary school dream, but I kind of like it just died off after a while.
What happened? Why did you change your mind?
I think somewhere along the lines I realized that like to be really good at at tattooing, you need to devote like that needs to be your life, you know. And I didn't really wanna limit myself to that expression only. So I wanted to explore more things.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I think for me it was always like doing something creative and something related to the visual arts has always been from the start.
Right. What about you guys?
I mean, it's pretty obvious since I went to SOTA at 13 years old.
Right.
But I think halfway through, like I was like, I don't think I can do art. And I stopped the science because somehow when you're in an art school, more people tell you that art is not a viable career.
Oh, within
Like-
art school itself.
Yeah.
Right.
It was like this weird internal pressure.
Okay.
Then I think at the end of SOTA, I was like, okay, that's kind of ridiculous. I love drawing too much. So yeah, after that, it was just art all the way for me. Kind of one track.
Right.
I think for me, I was always like into the art scene because ever since like when I was young, I just drew, and my mom would just like photo stack those coloring books.
So cute.
And then I took art O level, and then ever since then, I know that like it's the only thing I'm good at, so might as well just pursue it and make something out of it.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, it's great that you guys are so like purpose driven, like sort of know what you wanted to do from the start. So I don't think a lot of people have that idea. I mean, I don't know what I want to do yet, even now, 29 years old. But anyway, so I mean, Dion, you mentioned you started with 4 friends, right? Like, actually, how did you end up with Russell, Kevin, and Lydia?
I think it was almost like it was predestined. Because Russell I used to be really close to Russell in when we were in the same class in school, because I think we had a similar interest, so we were quite interested in like streetwear, street fashion, street culture, and we actually wanted to start our like a streetwear label together called it was called Thunder Eskimo.
So cute.
Yeah. So that was our project back then when we were in poly. So the idea was always to work together. So it was me and Russell. That's where we started this seed of the idea. And Lydia was like the best in the class. So she would be like the ones getting distinctions on the subjects, and she was just super spoil market. So she was like, hey, so me and Russell like, we need to get Lydia on board. Like we need a kick-ass team, so we need Lydia. So we met Lydia at like a mutual friend's birthday party, and I think we had a few drinks. Then we were like, hey, why don't you join us to do this thing together? And she was like pretty down for it. Kevin was kind of random because Kevin is actually 2 years our senior, but he was for some reason staying back in school.
This is where the predestined part comes in.
Yeah, so he always jokes that he was waiting for us basically. So he's 2 years our senior. We only saw him like every now and then in class, but I always thought of him as like a cool guy because he used to spray, he used to do graffiti and everything. So I think it was just one random day when I was in the army. I was doing this army exercise, and I bumped into him at the training ground. So he was like a storeman. So I remember very vividly, like during OCS training, I had like camo on, and I was like holding my gun and walking like down this like rocky terrain. Then he suddenly called my name, like, Dion. I was like, hey. Yeah, I turned around and I saw him, like he was a storeman, right? So he was sitting by the drinks and everything, just chilling there. I was like, hey, what are you doing here? Then we kind of like caught up for a bit. And I was like, hey, you know what? Let's go to exhibitions together. Let's hang out. When on our weekends and everything. So that was kind of like how he got assimilated into the group. Because back then, Russell and Lydia didn't know Kevin at all.
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of like through me. So I kind of like brought everyone together in like a talk, and then we said, I remember our first ever meeting was at Lydia's house, and TYC always love to bring this up because they remember very vividly that I showed them a Killer Whale documentary.
Why?
I think back then I was just very fascinated with killer whales.
Okay.
Like they were really smart, like how they
So
hunt.
this is a Dion thing.
And
And whenever
mushrooms,
you
right?
meet him, he has a new documentary, and then he will just tell you the whole storyline.
Yeah. If we have time, he will talk about mushrooms later. But
Now I lost my train of thought.
Killer
So
whale.
killer whales, right? So I was kind of like trying to explain to them how cool killer whales were, because they were like really smart at how they hunt for seals. So I think I kind of like forced them to watch like a documentary.
I think Russell said it's because they work in a team.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess we try to
and you were
find.
emphasizing teamwork, and you were having an emotional moment, and all of them just set there.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, they remember that night quite vividly. Like
Okay.
our first night together, and we watched Killer Whale documentary.
So you sold them on this idea of doing a collective through this documentary.
Yes, so
Oh.
yeah, we need to give credit
Unconventional.
to Killer Whales and their teamwork.
Okay. So how has it been working with friends? Like has it been easy? What's the hardest part? Or do you find out things about them that you never actually wanted to know? I don't know.
I don't know. Like I think for us, we were really, really, really. I don't know. There was just like a very strange dynamic going on because we have a lot of friends asking us like, do you guys fight? Do you guys argue over things? And you know, when you think about it, we don't really do that. Like, and we hang out quite a lot together. Like we traveled to so many places together, and I think it was just really born of like a desire to push the TYC brand out. You know, so the brand or the company was always at the top of the list. It wasn't our egos or anything. So it was always just like a very nice dynamic of like, you want to do this, let's do this. If not, then fine. You know, so it was very, very organic. So until now, I don't think we have any big disagreements.
Oh,
Yeah, it's always it's been quite
that's nice.
good. Yeah.
Hard to come by to your friends you can work with so closely and see every day.
Yeah, man. I see Russell too much.
So would you say TYC has a distinctive style? Because I think you guys have evolved quite a bit over the last 6 to 7 years, right?
Yeah, I think that was something that we were trying to understand as well for like even ourselves, because clients keep reaching out to us and asking for like the TYC style, and for us we couldn't really we don't even like what kind of style are you referring to, you know? But because the thing is that back then the artworks were created by each one of us. What I mean by that is like Russell will come up with a sketch, and then Lydia will come up with the line work, and then I'll come up with the coloring, and so it's like collectively we're working on one piece.
Right.
So there wasn't really like, and then we will be working on projects separately as well. But for some reason, when you put everything together, like they still look cohesive. So I don't really know. Like we're still trying to figure that out. Like what's this TYC style that everyone talks about? And we're still trying to adapt as well, especially with Denise and JL. Like how because they have so different visual styles, and I think maybe they can talk about like how hard is it to try to match.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna ask like, why do you guys decide to join TYC, and how hard was it when you joined to adapt to the style that is? Because it's quite, I think from the outside, it's quite branded as TYC. When you look at it, you know it's TYC. So how has that process been for you guys?
Difficult. I think they love to make fun of me for this, but basically I didn't know TYC until I joined TYC.
Yeah, it's a
Gonna
thing
get
because
softer
like
and softer as I say that in
it's
embarrassment.
it's like so we got Denise in 2018.
Almost 2 years already, right?
Yeah.
No,
20.
more than 2 years.
No, it's been 2 years. I
2
started
years?
around August.
And we got JL in 2019.
Yeah.
So like the running joke is that to join TYC you must not have heard of TYC before.
Yeah.
Because with Denise and JL like we have a lot of people like applying to work at TYC, but we didn't really we did consider some, but it didn't really work out. But the people that we reached out to are the people that actually came on board, like they had no idea what TYC was.
Right. So then why did you guys apply to TYC? Like, what did you think it was?
To be honest, right, like I only came to know Dion because he came to my design show and he took a picture of my work and my booth, and he was like, my fave. He said, I was like, who's this guy? And a lot of my friends sending me, wow, Dionosaurus. He reposted your work. Then I was like, who? So I just said, oh, okay, thanks, Dion.
Can I get a
Appreciate
job?
it. No, I didn't. Then he was like, what are you doing after graduation? Then I'm like, ooh.
So you poached her in a way.
I didn't even poach her. I mean, like it was super casual. Like, I think that's how we really do things. Like we don't really go through like the conventional route of like interviewing. So like for JL, I was at Temasek Design School grad show. Just wanted to take a pic, and I just love like JL's project. So I just kind of like just took a screenshot and I just stored it and just said like, oh, this is my favorite project so far. Because I think like compared to all the other projects, like her project had the most character. Like she had like song lyrics and she had like things that she liked. Like I think that's what personally I enjoy and appreciate. Like I like it when you can see the person's like personality through it. Like as opposed to like all the other projects that are designing for like corporate clients or whatever. So I just took a picture and I said like, oh, this is my favorite work. And sooner or later, I think someone, like she said that her friend sent her a screenshot, so she DM'd me. So I was like, oh cool, are you doing anything like after school? Why don't you just come by for a chat? Okay, so I think that's how it happened.
Who is this creep?
Yeah, it's like this uncle DM is
Yeah.
sliding into your DM.
No, she DM'd me, but okay.
What are you doing after school?
Okay. Well, when you say it like that. But-
Context.
But she did say that she saw me walking around and she was like, what this
Yeah, I thought he was like
cool.
some hype beast because he
Wow.
was with Bane. And Bane had the jingle jangles on his hands. Very.
Yeah. And then she said she saw us and then she was like, who are these like hype beast uncles walking around? So yeah.
Oh, it all worked out. Like Denise, you just also fell into it.
Yeah, I was going to do freelance because I came from a graphic design course and there wasn't a lot of drawing involved, so I thought that I would just spend a few years freelancing as an illustrator and just get used to being an illustrator. And then my friend sent me this one. She was like, hey, join this. And then I looked at their Instagram. Very well done Instagram. And
Shout out Lydia.
shout out to Lydia. I don't know, I just thought that their works looked really cool, and don't think I've seen any other studio in Singapore doing what they've done. And I thought like I wanted to do something like this. This is exactly what I wanted, like, you know, to just draw.
So how has it been since you joined? Like any surprising things that you go, oh my god, this is not what I signed up for, or like, what am I doing here?
Let's go there now.
Dion's dad jokes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard some of those.
I remember you asking about style just now and the TYC style.
Yeah.
I think that's been something that has been hard for both of us, or maybe more for me than Jia-Ling, because I think the thing that I realize about them is that a lot of their interests, they somehow overlap, and that influences what comes out of them. And
They're very streetwear, very hip hop.
Yeah, very
Very-
culture driven.
very culture
yeah,
driven.
yeah. And I don't know. I think it's just interesting to see that that all of them are almost on the same page when it comes to interest and output. So I think coming from my more anime background, it was like a lot of my interests were very, very different. So getting used to it is hard, and still think I'm still having problems getting used to it. But yeah.
So, like, how do you guys, I guess as the four founders, reconcile around that? Would you want to try to help them use their style in more of your work, or would you want to recalibrate into a new style of TYC, right? Like taking into account what their interest is, what their styles are like. So, like, what's your general approach on that?
I think for us, we've been trying to do that for the longest time. So we're trying to incorporate their style in, and trying to involve them on projects where we could showcase their style even more.
I actually want to say that they've really tried very hard to understand like what I'm interested in, and to see how like I can add to certain projects. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think for us, it's like, so a lot, like this is something that not a lot of people know behind, like, that goes behind the scenes, but we have a lot of like meetings, like just the four of us, just, you know, talking about like general direction, like talking about the company in general, like where they want to take it, like, and it's quite draining because it's like super long meetings, like just diving into like styles and everything. So for the longest time, I have kind of like taken more of the admin, like business role, where Russell and Lydia were taking over like the whole creative direction about and the creative output of TYC. So JL and Denise were kind of like under them. They're trying to learn from them, and Russell and Lydia were kind of like the art directors. So we tried that for like quite a while, but I think right now after quite a long meeting previously, we decided that we want to try a different approach, where now Denise and JL would be kind of like under my direction, and Russell and Lydia would focus more on the TYC creative output. Because I think when trying to involve Denise and JL style into the TYC like internal projects, like the output gets a bit messy. Not to their fault, but it's just because we're trying to figure that out. So right now I think we have reached this point where we want to focus their skill set more on like the commercial side, like doing commercial projects, whereas Russell and Lydia handles the more internal creative projects. So that's something that we kind of like just started. So like Denise and JL has been in a lot of client calls with me. So I've officially
Become their nanny.
Assume
Yeah.
the director position.
Father.
taken them more, because previously when they were working under Lydia and Russell, like, I didn't really have much contact with them because everything I would just tell Russell and Lydia and they'll kind of like pump it down to Denise and JL. But right now it's like we're trying to come up with a more efficient system where I communicate with them directly and vice versa. And the things that we talk about now, we don't need to involve Russell and Lydia. Yeah, so I think that's, I hope it's a lot easier now. But we just kind of like started last week, so I don't know.
Test run. So would you say, because I guess you guys really started off wanting to be the creators of the work, right? Like artists of the work itself, right? So how has the process of moving from that to actually managing people, actually growing to have to bring people into your team, get them acclimatized to your culture, think of a way that works for everybody? How has that process been? Because I know not a lot of creatives are very excited about the idea of business building or even, team building in that sense. So how has that been, man?
I think for us it's been really, really organic in a sense. I think we do have like, we have been quite blessed to get the really like good people on board, like not just in skill set but like character and like just personality. You all should see their faces now, blushing. But I think for us it was, we definitely had to grow into the role. So I think for sure like Russell and Lydia, I think it was a bit more difficult for them to try to let go of the creative work and pass it over to Denise and JL, because
That's normal for every creator.
Yeah, that's
It's
why.
just like you just want it. Like,
because it's like they have that vision in their mind, but when they pass it down, then it might not turn out the same way, and then they're like, no, then it takes like more effort. That after they pass it back to me, then I have to redo it. So it was, I think it was definitely like, it took quite a bit of adjustment for, I guess, Lydia in general as well. Yeah, but I think right now with this new system, I don't think it would be that much of a hassle.
But even when that was going on, it was like good that we don't work in like, oh, you're my boss, you're my colleague. It was, I feel like personally like it's more like friends. So there was that respect of like, oh, you don't mind if I change something, right? And you just like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, for sure. That like, so that's something that Russell and Lydia also like, they are like super conscious of. They are like, Lydia's like, on our own chat, like, would you all be okay if I change this or what, Because it's like super creative, like super like artistic creative, right? And I'm like, yeah man, just change it lah, like don't care lah. I'm like, just tell her that you're changing it. So I think for them it definitely took a bit of adjustment, which they've gotten like much better at. Yeah, but that's why we come up with this new arrangement.
I think I'm just like quite touched that they care a lot about our artistic development and our own style, instead of just being like, oh, the client says they want this style, like just do that style. And yeah, I think it's touching.
Oh,
Yeah, that's quite nice, because I guess in a way you probably also need to figure out a sustainable way of growing the team, right? Because you can't expect everyone to adapt to that style. You have to think about what is that bigger TYC brand beyond the four of you. So yeah, that's quite interesting to know. So actually for the two of you, Denise and JL, like what's the most memorable project that you've done so far since you've joined?
Oh, that's a very hard question.
Or like one that you go, oh my god, this is so cool, or like I really enjoyed it. Whether it's commercial or personal work, or no, as in internal work, yes.
I think for me it's the Juchet mural with the lady and the child. It's just amazing that like from someone who just wanted to draw, right, suddenly I get to have something I worked on a huge building in the middle of Singapore. So that was cool.
I don't know how to pronounce this. How do you pronounce this, Dion?
Harachi?
Yeah, we did this Nike Warachi project. I think it was one of the first few projects that I actually did when I came on the TYC. Yeah, I just thought it was cool that we were actively producing our own content and we collaborated with Genesis on this. So they handled the animation and then we did the styling and art direction and the characters. Yeah, I just thought like this whole like collaborative effort of putting out something that they were interested in and that they love, and to make it into an art visual product. I thought I liked that a lot.
You guys also did that PSA during Circuit Breaker, right? Yeah. Actually, I realized that you guys have evolved a lot, and whether it's your style, your medium, or things you do to sort of stay relevant, both to brands and to Gen Z, right? Loosely speaking. So how do you decide what's next?
We haven't got on TikTok yet.
I thought JL tried to get you guys on TikTok.
Yeah. Hey JL, how's our TikTok going along?
you have one video under my account.
I don't think that counts.
Is TikTok the next thing for you guys?
I don't know, man. JL's our TikTok queen. I have no idea how to use it.
I'm not even a TikToker. I just scroll TikTok.
Talker.
That's what they call it, TikToker.
TikToker, is that it? I don't-
Yeah, TikToker.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I learned something new.
Today I learned.
Wait, what's the question?
How do you decide what's next? How do you
How do
decide what you're gonna do next? Yeah.
How do we decide what to do next?
I think a lot of it is looking at trends.
Yeah, but I don't even think we keep thinking about it. you
Yeah,
know?
it's not that we want to be like, oh, the up and coming one and like the latest. It's just like, oh, that's fun. Can we do it too?
I feel like you guys have a mix of like maybe you watch the trend a bit, but I mean it's inevitable, like we live in a society. But on the other hand, you guys usually have something that you're always a bit interested in and you always put it on your back end. Like for example, be like, oh, 3D, but not just 3D combined with 2D. And then when an idea comes out, you guys will be like, oh, do you think we can try this thing we've always wanted to try?
Yeah.
That's something I've noticed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like basically you guys are always absorbing. You're just waiting for the chance to release that absorb.
I think like what is trendy is also one of the things that we don't really want to be too much. Like we don't want to jump on the bandwagon too much. So if everyone's doing something, we tend to like, it's been done. We don't really want to do that anymore. So I think like it's always about an idea that we have, and then it's like, okay, like how does this compare with what everyone else is putting out? You know, and if it's like not too oversaturated, if it's something that we can find a good reason to do it, then we just do it.
Has there been any experimentation that failed or didn't work?
Experimentation meaning
Like something you guys try to do, but it just didn't work out the way you wanted to, or you realize it's actually a very off TYC brand. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are a lot.
Spiel. Discord.
Discord.
Okay, let's talk about Discord. Come.
Discord. Oh yeah, I guess like Discord is a platform that we were trying to explore for the longest time.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Discord idea was basically when Singapore entered its circuit breaker period, and everyone was staying home, right? Like nobody could go out. So we wanted to explore using Discord as like a creative community platform to try to just share resources, share like just inspirations and everything. So we kind of launched, I think when in April.
Just when circuit breaker.
That's in April, right? I think we launched in April, and we were pushing quite hard for it. So we're like pushing like on our Instagram, which is our biggest platform so far, like pushing just talks on Discord. So hosting talks with like other creatives on Discord and getting people to join. So I think Discord isn't really like a platform that many people use outside of gaming. And I'm sure there are like overseas, but in Singapore, like
It's
most
still quite new.
most people use it for gaming. So right now we have about like 200 members, which is actually quite a lot. Like for like a platform that is so new, and it's mostly made up of like creatives or people interested in the creative scene. But what we've realized is that the engagement isn't really there because not many people use Discord. So we have
It's a conscious effort for
Yeah.
them to launch that.
so when we have an event or when we have a talk, then people like sign up for an account, they join in just for the talk. But then if you have nothing going on, they don't really log in. Even though the four of us or like the whole TYC team, we are constantly like engaging there, like people don't really come onto that platform. So we're trying to figure it out, like by launching more creative competitions, like launching more events, or launching more like just even playing games. You don't have to be like super creative.
A
You
scribble
can
game,
just play a scribble game. Or I think the idea is just kind of like just have that one channel that they can reach you directly. So we're gonna have this thing also where we have like hangouts. Like we just come out like, okay, every Thursday afternoon we're just gonna hang out in Discord. You can come in and talk to us. That's it. So we're just trying to explore like how we can utilize the platform even more. Yeah, but it was definitely not what we expected because I think on a given day it's like 15 people online and 170 people offline.
But at least it's 15.
Yeah, but
But
it's
the
like
thing is, even when they are online, right, it doesn't mean they're online on your channel surfing. It's
yeah, they're
like
probably playing
they're
games or
just
something.
leaving it in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure that out.
Right. Why Discord though? Actually,
I
no,
think they
scratch that.
wanted to like create a community, right, where
Yeah.
they can share from like artists.
Yeah, Discord was definitely a good platform. Like if everyone that is on our Discord actively engages, you'll be very vibrant. You'll be like super engaging and everything. But right now, it's just that how do we change consumers' behavior to use Discord?
Oh, consumer behavior.
Yeah, why are we using Discord? Why are we helping Discord?
Discord should pay us.
Yeah, hey, Discord, if you're listening, you should pay us to get people in.
Right. So, okay, beyond that weekly thing, because I know that when I first started on Discord, it was super active, right? Like everyone was just asking you guys about portfolio advice, talking about random things in the design of photography, everything. There was just a lot of interaction. So it just suddenly died off. Fatigue lah.
I think maybe it's fatigue, and maybe like once the restrictions ended, I think people could go out. I don't know if that's a thing.
You don't need online friends anymore.
Yeah, that's why. I don't know, like maybe the younger ones can share like.
They're passing notes.
I've hardly gone out, but I have noticed that the amount of digital platforms, like during the first circuit breaker, a lot of people were doing stuff like on Twitch, on stream, IG Live. I did notice that there was a huge drop after the first few circuit breakers ended.
We also saw the same pattern as well. Yeah, but okay. Anyway, so TYC has a lot of these side projects, right?
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, there's Peak, which is a streetwear brand. By appointment only, which is this retail space at the front of your studio. And then there's all this Discord, Cosmic Children, all this stuff. Like how does that work out in the TYC universe? Because it's a lot of things you guys are doing.
Yeah, that's true. That's something that we're trying to figure out as well. Because like, I think for us, what we try to do is that we try to give like each one of us like a project that they can take full responsibility for. So for Cosmic Children, our TYC podcast, that's totally run by Kevin. So Kevin is the one spearheading it. He's the one like organizing everything. Like Russell, Lydia and I, we don't really contribute as much. I mean, besides doing the graphics and pushing it out and listening. But that's Kevin's thing. And for By Appointment only, it's Lydia's thing. So Lydia is like spearheading it. She's the one that coming up with the branding, the marketing for it, like getting curating the goods in it. And for Pick, it's Russell's thing. You know, Russell's thing is like doing a streetwear label, and the plan for Pick was really to try to come up with a brand that isn't that closely associated with TYC. So you don't I mean, I guess now that we've said it on this podcast, I guess now but the idea was kind of like to let people discover that by themselves, like, oh, like Pick is done by TYC, that's cool.
Right.
Because we saw that like the streetwear scene in Singapore is really quite what's the word for it?
Stagnant?
What's worse than stagnant?
Dead.
Frozen.
yeah, probably it's just dead lah, because like there's no new originality and everything. We feel.
Really, I feel like it's such a small circle that you can get it going.
Yeah, that's why. And back then, I guess, I don't know now, but like just a few years ago, a lot of streetwear brands were harping on the whole like support local and like the whole support local trend, and it got to a point where I'm like, you know, you should be kind of like letting your design speak for itself as opposed to like trying to get like people to support you just because you're local. Like,
Bars.
Yeah, so I think Pick was something like that, but we haven't really had like a lot of time or resources to develop it more because we are so swamped with other stuff. But yeah, Pick is Russell's thing. So I guess these three things were kind of like our own side pet projects that we're passionate about.
Right. So will there be a future Denise or JL thing?
Yeah, definitely. Like
we all have our own babies.
I think I was working on mine for a while. Lydia literally just texted me that day about like reviving it.
Yeah. So we wanna. I mean, we even did like this whole like briefing where we have different tiers to projects. So for this kind of like certain like SOPs. So when you get a project, you know,
SOPs.
Yeah, like Denise and JL will have to go through Lydia and Russell and whatever, you know. So there's this like all these like systems in place, right? But then for this kind of special projects, they have full autonomy to do whatever they want. So these are like we called it Class S.
Class special.
Yeah, like the Mercedes, like
our Class S.
S class, like the special class.
I didn't know.
So that's where it came from.
Oh yeah,
but technical reference.
Yeah, we just call it like Project S class, so that you can, where the person in charge can do anything he wants or she wants, and then just like report back like in terms of the like resources or like the spending.
Yeah, I think that's what makes like TYC even more like heartwarming for me, because they are willing to like pay for all the expenses on what I want to do.
Mm.
You know, it's something that they like offered.
I think it just shows that their investment in really, as in like, you know, when people say
Pure
like we're very
art.
invested in the community of like the visual arts community in
It's
Singapore. Like,
really not like, oh, you better make us money back.
yeah.
You better pay us money
like-
back. What?
Wow, I was about to say you guys walk the talk,
Go
man.
ahead to copyright my ideas.
Stellar IP. Right. Actually, yeah. So on the idea of community building, because I think beyond Discord, you guys also did this open studios for a while, right? On IG, where you feature other creatives. I know two of you were featured on there. You also featured like Kradi and
Yeah.
Island Boys Collective. So I've realized that community building is quite a big thing for TYC. So why? Why is community building such a big thing for you guys?
I don't know. I think like, yeah.
Jump in if you have any.
I think because they are really very, like, as Denise and I said, they are very culture driven.
Mm.
And if you talk to Dion, Russell, Lydia, or Kevin, they all have their own things where they like feel very passionate about. And like even if it's just an animation, they're like, oh, look at that art, that framing, like is the little thing. So they want to build a community of people who appreciate all of these things that the normal society would just turn a blind eye to. Like, oh, that's the final product, but yeah, they're just more artsy fartsy.
So Dion's also in a school now, right? Oh my mic. Dion's in a school now, right?
That's cool.
At Jung Prof.
I mean, adjunct
Yeah.
lecturer. Yeah, I'm doing like a small stint. But next week is my last week.
Oh, shout out to Dion's
Students.
kids.
PD01.
Wow, TD01. Haven't heard that in a while.
But yeah, I don't know why. Like, I think community has always been a big part of what we do, even though we don't actively try to do that. It's just that certain projects come and we're like, okay, how do we get as many people who are interested, like, involved as possible? So I think we did like this whole photo walk back in 2017. We did like this. We got our good friend like Anton, like Instagram is Mellowed High, to do like a photo walk around like MBS and just shooting. Back then when like the street photography scene was like super vibrant. So I don't know, it's like community has always been a thing.
Do you think it's because when you guys started out, you were helped out a lot within the community itself?
Yeah, I guess
Like-
so.
And then because of there, like from there, you've always seen that community is important.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, it's like a very
I feel like my generation doesn't have this though.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what's the general reception like, or the now the generation?
Different. That's why I feel very stuck in between because I feel like I'm in the generation where I literally just graduated last year. Is it? Yeah. And then it's very against. It's not like competition where you want to bring each other down, but it's like each man for themselves kind of thing. You can get what job you get that, and it proves how well you do. But not much of like, oh, let's collab and all that. Not much of that. Very rare. Yeah.
Why do you think that's so?
I think because we are brought up in like marks and grades from like design, and then like a lot of the trend stuff. As we were in school, a lot of like people like bursting out and like, oh, now I'm like big. How do I put it?
You've made it. You've
yeah,
done something
I've
cool.
made it. Yeah, and it became more like, if I've got that job, then it means that maybe I can do it better. But I think that's why community is important, to be like supporting yourselves. Yeah.
So is there anything you think TYC can do to help reach that generation?
Yeah, which I think they are already, by like doing like open studios and all that, showing that you do support like even the smallest artists, but you recognize them for their talent, not for their rap or like their name.
Yeah, I think for us that's definitely like one of the things that's quite innate in all of us. Like, we really don't give a like, or we really don't care about the like your outward appearance or yeah. I think we just kind of like want to see the person for who they are, and like, you know, the work that they do, and whether they have good vibes with them, you know. And I think it's just about like working with the right people. Like, we really don't care if you have like how many followers on Instagram. That's really like something that we just didn't think about.
But it is something that a lot of creatives get sucked into, the black hole of reputation.
I was gonna say, I think I never knew that collaboration was that easy until I joined TYC.
Mm.
And I just saw them collaborating everywhere, and I was like, how come we don't do it with our friends more often?
But it's true though, like in Singapore, you don't generally talk about collaborations a lot. Because, I mean, what I've heard mostly from a lot of creatives is that the pie is very small, the money is very small. So if you have to split it
Probably.
multiple ways, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, it's true that you guys do a lot of collaborations, even if you have personal projects as well, right? Yeah, so yeah.
I don't know if it's a personality thing.
Mm.
Like for me, like I always wanna involve people or get people that are better than me to do to work on things together. And I think that kind of like spills over to TYC as well. You know, we work with friends, or we work with like we have a collab coming out with Unusual Felines. Like this guy who sews like super good craft person. So we are launching like a limited collection of like handmade bags. You know, and something that we don't do, but it's just something that cool that we thought would be fun to do. But it's not like we are thinking, oh, let's build community doing this. It's not. I think it's more of just like, it just feels right. Like things that just kind of like fit and feels right.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's just the idea that you can't do everything on your own.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like Unusual Felines, it's something that he's obviously really good at, and if you get someone else with a different skill set with you, like at the end of the day, I think everyone really benefits rather than compete. Yeah.
Exactly, because it's like through collaboration, that's when you sort of expand out of your scope, right? Like you don't just do visual arts, you actually go into apparel or like bags and animation with a 3D person. So yeah, Gen Z, collaborate more.
No, I think it's just about I guess it's just about being open-minded. I feel, you know, just being open-minded to
Having the humility to be like, oh yeah, I'm not excuse me, I'm not as good as I think I am, and like maybe like what Dion say, go to someone who is better than you. That is how you get better, because you learn, I guess.
Growth mindset.
growth mindset, beginner's mind.
Yeah, so actually on that front, right? Because you know, recently there's been all this social issues that's been bubbling up, whether it's BLM, whether it's racial diversity in Singapore, representation in Singapore, or just the elections and all of it. So what place do you guys think TYC can play in terms of helping to get this social messages across? Because I think design actually comes in quite an interesting way of making it a bit more palatable, making it a bit more relatable to people as well. So like, what's TYC's stand on that?
I think it's really interesting that you brought it up, because with all like the recent hype with all these social issues, right? Like I think that brought up something among me particularly, because I think it started when Russell was suggesting to share something on TYC's Instagram. I think it was that black square thing with BLM.
Oh.
It was that. So, and Lydia objected to it quite strongly, because she said like TYC is a company, you know, you shouldn't really involve your personal stand on this. And that kind of like made me think a bit. Like, it's true that we are all, I mean, individually we all have our values, and we all have things that we stand up for, and there's things that we definitely actively share. Like back then, when the elections was happening, I was actively sharing all about like the Singapore elections as well. But it kind of like made me realize that we need to properly define where the company stands, and where it's where the line separates between our own personal stance and the company stance. So that kind of like started a conversation between the four of us as well. Me, Russell, Lydia, and Kevin. So because the thing is that if we stand up for one thing, then where do we stop? Like we'll constantly be on the
Social activists.
yeah, you know, just how far do we go, you know? So I think from this whole period, what we're doing is that we're trying to come up with company like values, like company personnel, like things that we want to stand for, things we want to, because we didn't really have that before. Like we were all just using our individual platforms to share. But I guess right now what we're trying to do, that we're in the process of, is trying to define what are the issues that we can get involved in and everything. So like a lot of things that we do is not really actively shown. Like we are doing a collab coming out with a F&B company where the proceeds will be donated to food bank.
That's nice.
You know, so that's like, these are some of the small things that we're doing. But I think for us to kind of like for BLM, but on TYC's end, we are like, there's so many other like issues at home that we should try to actively solve first, you know. So while they were trying to like push for us to donate to BLM, we are like, I think we should start from home first, you know. So that's something that we're also trying to figure out and have conversations about.
That's cool. Yeah, because actually, JL, I kind of stalked you a little bit because you did that Nurses Day thing for Making Meaning, right? So like, want to tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, that was really just like me having like spare time on my like schedule because of CB and like in between projects from like TYC and like my own freelance projects, I do have spare time, and a lot of times these kind of like volunteer projects where like it's for charity or like for, in my case, IMH, they don't really demand much. They just need someone to help them get the job along faster and easier because they don't specialize in these, and they themselves are like volunteers being in the planning community. So I think if I could, I should. Yeah,
it's nice.
It was a good like time for me to be like, oh, I just feel like joining this, why not? It will be put to use. Yeah,
That's nice. So, are there any plans to expand TYC beyond Singapore? I know you guys do a bit of international projects right now.
Yeah, I think definitely. Like it's always been in the pipeline, but we just have to feel secure first. I think like when we have, because right now I think like even this new thing that we are developing with Denise and JL being directly under me, like just all these systems that we're trying to test run and make smooth, you know. So I think like we're not, definitely like if an overseas company wanna take us in right now, I don't think that we are ready, you know. So I feel like everything in its own time. When it comes, it will come. Yeah, but I think we just gotta focus on getting like the studio at its full productivity. Yeah, and that's what we are kind of like focused on right now.
And actually, okay, the question that you get asked a lot, like how has COVID affected you guys? Both on TYC front and personally, because I think there's a lot of adjustments you have to make, whether it's working from home, whether it's trying to get more freelance projects to make up for lesser, commercial projects, for example.
I think for me, it's just, I mean, it will affect on like how much projects you get. But I think I got lucky because like a lot of connections where like they retrenched people, so they needed like immediate work to be done. So they didn't mind paying me as much as I asked for. So I think whatever happened at the first part of CB like lasted me till now. So I got lucky for me personally, yeah.
I took the time to rest.
It's important.
Yeah. I know that, like what JL said, that because of money issues right now and COVID in general, a lot of people, instead of going to studios, they went to freelancers. So there were freelance jobs. Yeah, I mostly took the time to rest. Just draw for myself. I haven't done it in a long while. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, I think a big part of COVID is a lot of like artists and creatives started like drawing things that they wanted to draw in the first place instead of just being like working for a company. And like I feel that came out a lot from like Denise and I. Yeah.
I think it's a good time to step back from the rush.
Would there be a future in TYC where they get to dedicate time to do those things? But like 80% goes to commercial, 20% goes to do whatever you want. I don't know, like the balance. Will you introduce that balance into a new rhythm moving forward? Or
Yeah, I think for us what we try to do is that we try to have a ratio to like the amount of commercial projects we do. But I think like COVID kind of like just like screwed all those plans up. Like we actually had a meeting before this whole COVID happened. Like we said, okay, for this year we're gonna like segment how much into like our own personal projects, how much to these like commercial projects. But yeah, when COVID happened, it was more of like, how do we survive? You know, so like I mean, I know like quite a few like of my friends' creative studios like closed down as well, and so many friends have been like lost their jobs or definitely had their income cut. So I think for us right now, it's like, how do we stay alive and how do we get past this year? You know, so I think right now it's really just survival of the fittest. Like if you can if we can survive this year and we can get enough projects to last through, I feel like we can survive like anything. And I think once we have a stable base, then that's where we can like move on from there. Yeah, because right now it's more of like we are in like code red, and like how do we survive? Like how many more months can we do this? You know?
Yeah. There's no end in sight.
Right now, I feel like we are about to confirm some big projects, so hopefully, but that's the
But then the adjustment back to like being in like full force of like doing work, produce work is very different.
Yeah, so definitely I think like there will definitely be adjustments like in the way we work, in the way that we take on projects. I think right now like this whole period has shown that we need to take care of ourselves a bit more. Like we shouldn't be rushing. Like it's not just like this corporate cog in this machine, right? It's just about like churning work, but it's more about like how can we do it and take care of ourselves at the same time and not burn ourselves out. Yeah.
So barring everything, like the 6-7 years of experience in the studio, and you guys who joined for like the last 1 and 2 years, right? What advice would you give to people who want to start their own studio, or people who want to join a studio? Like, what would you say to them? Don't do it. No, just kidding.
Go study banking.
Don't add to our competition.
Don't be non-essential workers.
I think just like draw for the sake of yourself and not for like rap or like cloud or whatever. Because personally, I was very like into that maybe the last year, and it really changed the way like how I decide what I want to put out, and like the quality of my work was just not me. It was just a sad time.
I think you attract what you put out. Yeah. And basically what you're interested in, if it shows through in your work, then at the end of the day, that's what people will look at you for, or look for you.
To start the studio, well, it's tough. I would say like first get friends that you trust. I think that's really the first thing, because I have a lot of I've known a lot of friends who kind of like try, and then they after a while they just get like money comes a thing, or it's like they just like just split ways. So I think it's about like getting people with the same vision as you. And just getting like good people, because with good people on board, like I feel like you can achieve like
Anything,
right? Like, I mean, even stepping stones, right?
We'll plug that another time.
Like it's just about like finding people with the same vision, with the same like the same
Motivation.
Like to hustle and try to make it work. Yeah. And definitely like no egos lah. Yeah.
Okay, last few questions. Because we spoke a lot about how the four of them, they're very culturally driven. You guys have very different interests, right? So what keeps you inspired every day? Like, what do you look up for? Like, any content that you sort of frequently visit? Because we're in the spirit of sharing, right? Like, for you maybe anime, for you maybe hip hop, 90s hip hop, gel, whatever.
Pinterest. I feel like I'm very basic when it comes to
I love Pinterest.
Pinterest is great. It's the place where you should invest when all things go to shit, because you will always stay positive there. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I feel like I'm actually a very, very technical person. Like for me, art, I approach it as something very technical rather than like idea driven actually. Yeah.
So what do you read to keep up to all the techniques and
Pinterest?
All right, we got a plug for
No,
Pinterest.
I'm still making my way through the most basic anatomy book. Yeah, I love like learning and relearning about drawing, and to me that's the entire reason why I draw, just drawing. Yeah. I think I'm a nerd in that way lah.
Yeah, you always reference those movie stuff. I never liked the anime, but after I got to know Denise, then I started picking up on like it looks quite cool.
Denise is like the big sister.
Russell calls me a
Cinephile.
A weep.
Yeah, and a weeb. Just a nerd in general.
At least not otaku.
We have a lot of name
I
callings.
am an otaku. Just a nerd in general with making art. Yeah.
I think for me now it's just a lot of like philosophy, because I love listening to those like philosophical podcasts, and I want to find a way. I think that's what started my like poly project, the one that Dion found me with. It's just breaking
Full
down
circle.
song lyrics and the actual meaning of it, and like putting it into visuals, because that's what I like to do. And yeah, so a lot of my Instagram drawings are like quotes and all that, but people might mistake it as I'm just trying to put like relatable quotes for people to repost and get that clout. Maybe.
Jail's not. Let's make this clear. What about you, Dion?
The question was what inspires me.
What do you read or consume in your normal time to keep inspired? Keep inspired.
The Anywho.
SGCR Anywho podcast.
Anywho podcast.
Out weekly.
Out weekly. The
Oh my
number
God.
third one is not out yet.
Coming out this week.
Coming out
Yes.
this week. Okay.
It's coming out this morning. Oh no, it has come out this morning.
This morning.
But just be serious. Come on down there.
No. I mean,
You can't think of an answer.
no, I mean like because I do I like listening to podcasts when I'm driving. Like that's the thing, because I realize that I can't listen to podcasts when I'm doing anything else than driving, because I think it's just I don't know, it's just how I consume like audio stuff. Like when I am like doing work, I can't be like the kind where I'm doing work and I have another screen playing a
Can't
film.
multitask.
It's like I can't, not that I can't multitask, but I feel like I need to devote my full attention to something. I get like Anna always like makes this like pokes fun at me because I have this very strict like movie watching etiquette. Like you have to like be focused at all times. You cannot be like doing anything else. You know, you have to.
Oh my gosh, you're the person who keeps looking over to make sure like someone's paying attention.
Yeah, because I'm like, no, you're gonna miss that. You're gonna miss that important part. You know, you're not capturing, or you're not absorbing like the full experience of what the person that made this film wanted you to do it. You know, so I think I put a lot of like emphasis on like
Doing one thing at a time.
yeah, and also like artistic output. You know, like if I don't like a song, I still wanna like listen to the full song first, so I can hear like how it was meant to be before I pass any judgment on it. You know, I think that's how I consume things. So I cannot do like, I think back then when I don't know like how Denise was doing, like watching Game of Thrones and like doing her work, I like, what, you're missing all these
But
parts.
you
know?
judged 1975 halfway into it.
Okay, true. Fine.
Dion's very dedicated in that way.
Yeah, I'm quite critical in that sense. But yeah, I mean, so I like listening to podcasts. I mean, the one I listened recently was Into the Well, that featured Kao Ung from Brain Dead, talking about the company and how we started. And I listened to the both Anywho podcasts when I was driving. It was quite entertaining. So I listen to podcasts when I'm driving. I listen to
Cosmic Children.
for podcasts. And I mean, recently over the National Day weekend, I watched like a few local films. Like 12 Story. I watched 12 Story. Watched Me Poke Man.
12 stories.
Yeah, so I think it's just about, and I find it hard to watch films nowadays because I'm just so like busy. I don't really have time to do anything. But I think what inspires me or keeps me going the most is just being productive. You know, so I just need to do things. I need to like get things out of the way. There's so many there's always something to do. I think for me, I've never been in a period where there's nothing for me to do. You know, so I think it's just about like checking things off, making things moving, like making sure that all the other aspects of my life are moving. And then I think that's pretty much it. I don't draw as much as I used to. Yeah.
What a productive man.
I don't have time for creative exploration, so I leave that to Russell and Lydia to like do, and I just kind of like handle like I'm just project managing and I'm just doing like all this kind of stuff.
Cool. So beyond TYC, what are your personal projects coming up next? If you can share.
I think I will just I'll start first. I just realized that my answer to the previous question should have been stories. Yeah, it's the fact that I'm so into film, so into analyzing every single film I watch, animation, I'm so into comics. For me it's like how to tell a story, how do you visually tell a story. So like personal project wise, I've been like writing this comic for a very long time, and that's just always been on the back end for me, and I just have so many comic ideas that just coming up non-stop, and yeah, I just do it on the background.
TYC publication.
Yeah, we've been trying to push it.
I think my
For the
comics are
longest
like
time.
too depressing. I don't think it works.
Yeah, but these comics are depressing.
Yeah.
Not very positive.
It's okay.
Yeah, but it's like, how do you tell that emotion? How do
Yeah,
you
Denise is very
convey?
raw.
How do you?
Mm.
Yeah, I guess I'm like
Denise is Bojack Horseman.
artsy.
Project.
I guess I'm like very artsy. It's like personal stories. How do you get them to reach others?
I do think we need a bit more diversity on beyond happy stories though. You know, to talk
Yeah.
about the sad things in life, talk about mental illness, talk about things that people don't generally talk about because you think people don't want to read it. But I think a lot of people want to read sad stories, like sad music. Right?
I want to read sad
Yeah.
stories.
do it.
Come on, Denise, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If she were to do it with TYC, it's a bit awkward.
Yeah.
It's like, so boss, I've been feeling depressed.
I don't
Oh,
know
no.
if this is relevant, but I was trying to look for popular movies that's told, like deep emotional movies that's told from a perspective of a female, and I couldn't
Go
find.
interrupted.
I watched that, but I couldn't find a lot. Like I think I had stopped watching movies because for a moment I was like, why have the past 20 movies I watched, they're always from
Represented
guys?
from men, right? Yeah. Okay, if anyone has any movie recommendations,
Yes, please,
slide
please
into our DM.
recommend me. I am uneducated.
No. I think it's a very different world. Like you have to really consciously look up for it and find that. Because I actually know a friend who dedicated 1 year just watching work from female directors,
Oh, that's
female
nice.
writers and everything, and then another year just watching it from the male perspective. And I think she's deduced that their tone of voice and the way they tell stories are so different. Yeah, so it's actually quite an interesting exercise to do, but it's a dedication, a year to just watch that. Yeah, I'll think of some and I'll send you. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, but slide into our DM if you know any. What about you guys?
I don't have any personal projects planned for now because very go with the flow. If I feel it, I'll do it. Yeah.
You're aren't you deep dyeing your clothes?
Oh, yeah.
That's just because I have a lot of clothes ruined from silk screen painting.
Oops.
TRC should sponsor her.
Yeah, she's
Her dye.
she's deep dyeing all her clothes.
I feel like Jialing is quite an ideal person actually.
What does that mean?
In what
Like
sense?
like she always has like new ideas and hands-on things to try. Not just because of like the dip dye thing and everything, but even like your own handphone. What's this called? Handphone cover idea.
All right.
Yeah.
You revived that.
She has ideas.
Idea.
She's an ideal person.
Yeah.
Side projects.
So many.
I guess right now we are full blown into the documentary phase that we are planning. So we have been, for the past few months, we've been, at least me and we have been planning a documentary to launch that features the local creative scene. So the documentary kind of like covers the creative period from the early 90s to early 2000s. It's basically this period where Singapore's creative scene was booming. So the documentary really aims to feature like all these OG culture pioneers that kind of like help us do what we are able to do today. You know, so we realized that there's a disconnect between the younger generation of creatives that don't really know like who came before them, and they always are looking for inspiration overseas or on Pinterest or
On Discord.
so what we want to do is that we just want to bridge that gap. So the documentary will feature like I think about like 30 to 40 profiles and from different industries. So from graffiti, from fashion, from underground music, from visual arts. So we've been working quite hard on it, and we are gonna start filming tomorrow.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah,
The best.
yeah. So yeah, that's what we've been really busy with. On the side, I'm also I've taken up adjunct lecturing, but I'm gonna be done next week as well.
Restarting Death Threats, right? The
Yeah,
videos one.
we've restarted Death Threats. And on the side, I'm also working with my good friend Sabrina on streetwear distribution.
Beyond's very productive.
Yeah, so
He's
it's
very
just too many things going on, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, last and final most important question to this podcast. If you were invited to a dinner party and it's a potluck, because it's a potluck club, what would you bring?
Potatoes.
But like raw potatoes.
Whoa.
Denise likes potatoes in any
I
form
love
or shape.
potatoes like way too much. I dream about them
You
sometimes.
dream about potatoes.
Yeah, I dream I was making a mashed potato with truffle.
Yum.
Yeah, I'll probably bring like potato salad or mash.
Classic.
Probably bring mala Maggie.
Oh,
Good,
Oh.
that's good.
Oh, I'm so bad at food.
mushroom.
What I bring to a potluck? Right. we scrub. What else? What would I bring?
What? How would we know?
I don't know.
Beer?
Oh yeah,
wait,
we
wait,
bring
wait,
out
wait, wait.
the cop out beer.
He bring his vinyls.
Mac Spicy.
No, but I mean,
You
for us
can't
to share, what
share.
you can't share McSpicy.
You can buy a lot of Mac Spicies to share.
Oh, that is super low effort.
So the life would be beer or potato chips.
Okay.
Let me think.
You're the cop out guy. lah.
I am the cop
He's
out guy.
the lazy guy.
I'll
I
be-
bring the potato juice.
No, I'll be the guy that say like the text in the chat like, what you guys need. I'll get, like I'll get ice. You always need ice.
See, he's the reliable father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to make decisions.
I cannot. Yeah, I can't do food. Like when we eat out, like
He won't
we-
even bring. He'll just say, where you all need to go, I drive you.
yeah. When it comes to food, like Anna and Hui will decide my food choices.
Yeah.
But I don't even.
Strange. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. Do you guys have any last things to share? Any words of wisdoms, mantra, song lyrics, anime quotes, hip hop lyrics? Cash rules everything around me.
No, not that.
Dion's a huge Wu-Tang fan.
Let me think. What's that? You guys start first. Let me think.
You don't have to even.
I need to end off with a one line, with a solid one line.
I do have something that enlightened me recently.
Nice.
Okay, wait, let me get it out. Hold on.
Everyone's just checking their
Their
phone.
phone,
for
okay.
Okay,
quotes
so
now.
recently I felt very bummed because, like, oh, my cousins, they're like in finance and banking. I'm just an artist and all that. But then I heard a podcast on philosophy, this philosopher called Herbert Marcuse. He said, great works of art have the ability to deliver a message to people that normal speech just can't deliver on its own. Great works of art have the ability to make masses of people feel intensely and liberate them from the narrow subjectivity given to the people by the culture industry.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so it made me feel better. Like, I am a part of
A
group of
contributing
peop-
member
yeah.
of society. No, that's really nice. Very
That's
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
I found one.
Dion refuses to be the next because he wants to like drop.
I need
mic
to end
drop.
off. Okay, Denise, go first.
I'm still okay. I'm
think
so
you're
sorry.
special.
I need to end off with this one liner that I found.
Oh my gosh. Can I say two things?
Hey, sure.
Oh.
Always up for a bonus.
So one's an anime quote.
Go for it.
It's basically like trying to encourage a person on like believing like whether you're talented or not. And the fact is that instead of like comparing yourselves to everyone, like the fact is talent is a thing that happens as long as you just keep going. So today can be the day that you make talent, your own talent bloom. But that's your own decision. If you think it won't come, it will never come. And the other one is it's a quote from David Hume.
Hmm.
Oh no, sorry, Kathleen Murray. Whatever happened to beauty? A response to Dante. It's about art, and it's something that was on my mind a lot since COVID happened. And you feel so useless as an artist. Like everything's happening, and you don't do shit. Anyway, this quote is Kathleen Murray. It may be insensitive at times to luxuriate in aesthetic comfort while human misery abounds. But the mesmerizing impact of beauty may, even in miserable conditions, rekindle our sensitivity.
Wow.
That's
You guys are such like soft soul.
I shouldn't have waited to the end then.
Yeah. You yours better be the epics.
No. Now mine looks so lame
Let me
compared
guess,
to.
Wu-Tang Clan.
No.
All right.
Wait, are you done?
Yeah,
That's really beautiful.
It's just a quote for. I mean, a shout out to all the artists who find themselves useless during this time.
You are not useless.
You're not.
Nobody is useless.
You're put in the world to do something, and what you do is beautiful. So you're not useless.
Reach.
I guess.
Okay,
See you,
so
mademoiselle.
mine is a saved meme. Sorry, I have so many memes in my phone that I keep seeing. So basically, okay, it's not really a meme. It's a picture of a panda with a dragon riding on it, like a tiny dragon riding on the panda, like it's walking through bamboo shoots. So the quote is, "Which is more important?" asked Big Panda, "the journey or the destination?" And the tiny dragon says, "The company."
Aww.
Shout out to TYC.
Right? So it's not about like,
That's
you
so
know,
gross. I have to like scrape the cheese off my pores.
right? Because it's always like about like, you know, it's not the journey, it's not the destination, it's the journey. But I think to me, it's like it echoes what I feel. It's like about the people that you do it with. Yeah.
Oh, group hug.
Yeah. Okay, it's too much
Awesome.
kumbaya.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, guys. And I think that wraps up our chat with Tell Children. It's been very fun. So thanks again for listening to the Potluck Club. We will come back again with a new group of people to speak to. So stay tuned. Bye.
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 Thanks, everyone.